I did omit to welcome all the Zoomers out there. I'm used to baby boomers, but also the Zoomers. Please feel welcome as you interact with us. Ladies and gentlemen, as South Africans, I think we often have wondered in the last 2 weeks whether we're best at anything in the world, looking at rugby and cricket and soccer and so on. But I can assure you there is something that the world looks to us for advice. We've heard, and this is serious, we've heard on good reputation that the German government is sending a delegation to South Africa to come and learn a bit about load shedding. We are considered the best in the world in load shedding, at least. Flip Buys is the chairman of the Solidarity Movement, and the movement has long propagated the role of local communities. And we asked Flip to address us on the role and greater participation of local communities in government and governance solutions. Please, Flip.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think we all know that local government in South Africa is in a crisis. This should fill us all with unease and urgency, as this is the only and most important level of government most residents ever have to deal with. Now, the ratings agency Africa has been issuing warnings about the danger signs for the past number of years. Their latest Municipal Financial Stability Index indicates an impending collapse in this sphere of government. The only exceptions are most Western Cape municipalities and a few councils outside of that. Now, the poor liquidity, large operating deficits, and weakening infrastructure are among the main issues. Even metropolitan municipalities, some of them are faring poorly. North-West Province and Free State are the provinces experiencing the most municipal challenges. Now, if you look at the big picture in South Africa, you will see the problems many of the municipalities are facing. The ones in red are those with the most and with the biggest problems with regard to water, sewage, electricity, and so on. And you can see the most of the map is red. If you look at the state of local government, the barometer, also the ones in red and the ones in orange are the most considered to be, from the government side, to consider to be in crisis. The green is those who are functioning well. That is a big picture. If you look at the audits, the audit outcomes, if you look at the top line, you can see the green are unfortunately also in the minority. Now, that is the big picture. Tiens was referring to our movement, especially Afriforum involvement in local communities, and there is a map of all the Afriforum branches in the country where Afriforum are actively involved in the, trying to help with the delivery of services in local communities. Now, a 22 audit this year of the Free State municipalities conducted by Afriforum shows that the Free State municipalities, most of them, in fact, I think all of them perform dismally when it comes to service delivery such as water, garbage, disposal, general management, electricity, water, and so on. Services that do look positive, such as the provision of houses, are a provincial function. Now, even within government circles, serious concern in this regard are expressed. Last year, the Department of Cooperative Government report that 64 municipalities were completely dysfunctional. It may have been even higher. In September this year, the National Treasury argued in Parliament that 151 municipalities were teetering on the brink of collapse. A total of 219 municipalities experienced financial problems as well as impending service delivery crisis, according to Treasury. Treasury also mentioned that residents owe municipality 255 billion rand. Now, of course, we know that most municipalities also own, for example, Eskom and the water companies large amounts of money. At the same time, poor governance has also brought about the collapse of the local economies in many, especially smaller municipalities, with catastrophic results for the residents and local businesses. Now, we all know about the example of Clover in Lichtenburg that closed down after unsuccessfully tried to talk to the municipality, Ditsobola local municipality, about maintenance problems for many years. Now, Clover is only one prominent and leading example, but many smaller businesses simply cannot longer see any way of doing business in the midst of that kind of service delivery crisis in many of the small towns. The available money at many municipalities, unfortunately, is also poorly utilized. Some do not even spend what they should on crucial priorities such as infrastructure because the expertise to do the work does not exist in many places. Now, many people consider cadre deployment to be one of the core reasons why many municipalities' capacity has weakened to such an extent, while it also fostered corruption. Now, with regard to AfriForum's involvement in and role in many of those municipalities, with around more than 710,000 members, AfriForum is currently the largest civil organization in South Africa and very much active in local government. Not only do these members contribute financially to the organization's activities, they also give a lot of their time, energy and expertise to participate in community actions. AfriForum, like I've shown you, have got more than 165 branches which are run mainly by volunteers, although many of them have full-time teams to try to deliver services in many of the towns. Also, the half of every branch financial contributions are used for purposes of service delivery. Now, as the crisis in local government have become particularly acute, many of these these problems take up the time and the money of the local branches. Roads, one of the issues, are in a truly dreadful state, and the problem is worsening daily. It is estimated that there are around 25 million potholes on South African roads, of which 10 million have developed over the past 5 years. Although this is by no means the only problem at local government level, it is one example that I want to focus on. That is why AfriForum have already used tons of tar and spent millions of rand to repair roads already since 2014. For example, the Heidelberg branch have already repaired more than 2,500 potholes in 2022 alone. In Potchefstroom and Bethel, roads are fixed on a weekly basis. The Lichtenburg branch only in September this year used more than 13 tons of tar to fill potholes in that area. That is only to use a few examples. Water and power outages occur more frequently, not only due to load shedding, but also because of non-payments of services and municipal mismanagement. This is true especially in provinces such as Mpumalanga, the Free State, and the Northwest. In times of water shortages, many times AfriForum deploys water tanks for all communities to serve the local people. Furthermore, road markings are painted when they have faded, road signposts are reinstated where they have collapsed or have been stolen, and the grass is cut in parks and other public areas. Like I said, many of the branches have full-time people and also equipment like tractors and other kind of equipment. Now, these actions serve functional, safety as well as aesthetic purposes, because by repainting the lines at stop street intersections and by erecting new signs and so on, accidents can be prevented. And just by looking better, we think it lifts the spirit, and also it decreases crime and help to with the value of the people's homes, and also keep small businesses going. It makes a huge difference. Naturally, AfriForum also joins hands with other local players, other communities, schools, and businesses, and everyone basically who are willing to cooperate. Now, there's a growing realization among the public in the towns that we have to help. We have to do things ourselves, and we are working, like I said, with everybody who wants to cooperate. Now, with regard to the outcomes, this do-it-yourself approach is often viewed with aloofness by many municipal administrations, but in many cases even with hostility. Fortunately, this is not the case everywhere, but too often municipal administrations, especially interestingly enough in the dysfunctional municipalities, try to interfere in the work generally performed by AfriForum and other community organizations. Our biggest challenge is to get the civilian sector and the ANC-controlled authorities to cooperate. Now, our only condition for cooperation is that services must be delivered efficiently and without any corruption. In some cases, collaboration does take place, and the municipality provides the workers, and in that case, AfriForum provides equipment to deal with a specific challenge like electricity, water, or whatever. However, the instances of this happening are still few and far between. Unfortunately, the residents, towns, and neighborhoods get the short end of the stick because of the municipality's refusal to cooperate, and even, I know it sounds strange, and even to merely give us permission to do the work that they don't do. In some cases, municipal managers would hold discussions with the interest parties, such as AfriForum, but in most cases, the implementation of agreed solutions leave much to be desired. It is also a challenge, of course, for AfriForum to finance most of this kind of work only by membership fees. You know, to deliver state services without state income is a very big challenge. That, especially in many rural municipalities, in cases where the municipalities are incompetent, dysfunctional, or corrupt, and where the tax base are also very small. Now, luckily, there's legal considerations and statutory spaces that we can use. Section 152 of the Constitution, with regard to the objectives of local government, especially makes provision for the participation of communities. Also, the Municipal Systems Act provides ample opportunity for community participation. Section 16 of the Act stipulates that municipalities must develop a culture of governance that complements formal representative government with a system of participatory governments. For example, the community must be encouraged to participate in the municipality's performance management system, integrated development plan, preparing budgets, etc. Section 17 mentions mechanism to give effect to such participation. For example, municipal councils must develop political structures for consultation with the community. Other mechanisms, processes, and procedures are then mentioned, and councillors have to play their part in such participation. The Section 17 also elaborates on the matter dealing with information such as acceptance and consideration of petitions, notices about public comment, procedures, public meetings, feedback to the community consultation sessions with recognized local community organizations, etc. The section also refers to the establishment of one or more advisory committees consisting of persons who are not councillors but who have expertise in one or another important area. These measures are needed and important, but in practice, unfortunately, they are mostly ignored. The implementation of most of these mechanisms is left to the discretion of the municipality, and you know, many municipalities are very far removed from residents, and they are not really actively involved. They consider the results of local government elections every 5 years as the only approval they need to do whatever they have to do. Feedback from communities on their lack of performance and interaction in the period between then, unfortunately, comes mostly in the form of protest and also, unfortunately, sometimes damage to infrastructure. This is destructive. It is to the benefit of no one, and that is not how it's supposed to be. Nevertheless, it is necessary and possible to achieve tangible participation within the framework of these defining pieces of legislation. We are of the opinion that legislation to devolve power to communities not only could but should be enacted, for example, to approve or disapprove certain items earmarked for major expenditure such as tenders and so on at public meetings. The creation of public-private partnerships is also a necessity. In short, this means cooperation between the state and private community players to address certain problems. In this way, community role players, like also business people, can be involved in projects and can participate in numerous ways to make a success of projects that are usually the responsibility of a municipality. And I'm referring to roads, electricity, water, sewage, etc. If interaction between the municipal management and councils on the one hand and communities on the other does not take place, further deterioration and growing anger and social discord at local level is a foregone conclusion. And such involvement cannot happen merely through ritual elections every 5 years. As a member of the Solidarity Movement, AfriForum has the will and the ability to help with the services in many rural municipalities to get them going again, if only we are allowed to cooperate with the councils. Like I said, to conclude, AfriForum have the will and the ability to solve many of the service delivery problems in the most of the smaller towns and even larger towns and even cities like Bloemfontein. Thank you very much.